I don't know how many of you know who I am. I have been in the business of communications for many, many years. And yet, I was a news reader in the 80s at a time when news was read and not shouted. I was a columnist when the newspapers had art and culture columns. I was an activist at a time when it was not anti-national to be an activist. But most of all, I've been a theatre person. As already said, I started my first entry on stage at the age of 6. I took my first step on stage and my sari opened out and the curtain came down. And of course the ladies all rushed and tied me up. I was playing Krishna in a play and the curtain went up again and there was a huge applause. That applause has rung in my ears ever since. And I have tried to be motivated by that applause, be it in theatre, debate, or elocution. In a debate on the rebellion of 1857 was a mutiny and was not a mutiny, but a war of independence. I delivered my speech by heart. In those days, we were all told to speak, you could speak by heart. And after the applause, someone said to me, you know what you said? Cows are fat and pigs, and not fat of cows and pigs. And that taught me my first lesson, that you must never be afraid to make a fool of yourself. Then there was this play, and I was only cast as the 7th dwarf in Snow White instead of Snow White. That taught me that you can't have egos in theatre. It is the end result that matters. The central passion of my life was the performing for living arts. And in that, I discovered that all the world's a stage, which is a phrase that all of you have heard, and all the men and women merely players. I went on stage, I did what I could. The first play that I ever, but the first lesson that I learned till the age of 6, I was left with my hard-working midwife grandmother. And through her example, she taught me that women are equal partners in this journey of life. And now I'm the national coordinator for the Laadli Girl Child campaign and for gender sensitivity. I bumped into, quite accidentally, a lady called Dr. Zuli Nakhuda, who is the head of the National Sponsorship Council and the India Sponsorship Committee, which looks after destitute women and children. And that became my priority. And I've worked in that all my life. Now, cowards die many times before their death, but I stayed my course. And here I am today. Radio, journalism, communication, media, and theatre became my objectives in life and my communication. Now, theatre teaches you articulation, pronunciation, presentation, projection, all the things that are very important in real life. Seeing all of you here today, and I don't know how many of you are really in the business world, these are things which will go in your favor greatly. Today, theatre people are being called upon to teach these abilities to their executives, to their staff, because a lot of multinationals have come, and the multinationals do require people who are better poised, have better standing, better diction, better understanding. And so a whole new avenue of work has opened up for theatre people. I can't not mention Richard Attenborough. One day, he suddenly walked into my flat. And before I go to that, I must tell you that how in 1962, my first job was as a sub-editor. And the first caption, as a sub-editor, you're training, and you're given photographs to just write captions. And the first caption that I ever wrote was Motilal Kothari, Richard Attenborough with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And in 1962, they had come to discuss the film Gandhi. And in 1979, the doorbell rang, and who walks in but Richard Attenborough? And he said to there was a collage of photographs on my wall, and of theatre photographs. And he looked at it and asked, who is this and who is that? And 2 days later, he rang me up and said, would I like to be the casting director? Since then, all theatre actors have become film actors, but that was the first time that many of them acted in a major international film. Ben Kingsley himself is a theatre actor. He was selected from a play called Nicholas Nickleby, for those that do read literature and who know about it. So theatre became my conduit to every chapter of my life. And since then, I've never looked back. Theatre is a spiritual and social X-ray of the times. In a play, Death of a Salesman, a 63-year-old traveling salesman had a very busy life and a busy schedule, but he still continues to remain on the edge of poverty. He still believes that there will come a time when things will change and the big break is round the corner, and he convinces himself and his family. Soon the economic conditions change, and he is told that his services are not required anymore. And he, of course, in his exasperation, looks at the boss and says, a man is not like a fruit, a piece of fruit. You can't eat the orange and throw the peel away. And this applies to, I think, each one of you. If you look into yourselves, you will realize how important that is. A man is not a piece of fruit. You can't eat the orange and throw the peel away. Kenneth Tynan, who is a very famous critic, said, no theatre can sanely flourish without the umbilical connection between what is happening on stage and what is happening in real life. Death of a Salesman was translated into Hindi as Salesman Ramlal, and it was played by a very popular actor, Satish Kaushik. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it still runs to full houses, and a lot of people relate to it. Now, in that, the wife, Linda Lohman, in the last scene, is sitting there weeping beside the grave of her husband, who has deliberately crashed his car to kill himself, so that she can inherit the insurance and pay the last mortgage on the house. And there was not a dry eye in the audience. Now, arts interpret cultural beliefs. Sakaram Binder, a play that most of you all might know, it is Vijay Tendulkar's most controversial play. It was staged in 1972, but banned soon after, but then it was revived. Sakaram Binder is a bookbinder who brings home a series of women who have been thrown out of their homes by their respective husbands. Now, these are stories that we read about and hear about all the time. So theatre reflects society. It is the closest to society, and that is why my passion remains in theatre. All the plays that I've acted in have taught me something or the other. It is the most interactive of all the arts. Romeo and Juliet, I know we all rush to see it because it's a great love story, but it's a tragedy. And when you think about it, the parallel that you draw from Romeo and Juliet to our everyday life. We have the cup killings, and if you sit back and think, all the clannish caste systems, etc., and all the killings that are going on is again a Romeo and Juliet. How many young people have lost their lives? How can I not mention Vagina Monologues? I'm sure it's a play that all of you have heard about and know about. It's a play where women are speaking to each other and discussing ways to talk about their own bodies. It's been running for 14 years, 10 years in Hindi, and we're doing it in accents which are Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, Parsi, Punjabi, Tamil, so that it is relevant to whichever part of the country we have been to, and we've traveled up and down India. When we first started in 2002, an 80-year-old man came and touched our feet, and he said, "I am so grateful to be alive to see how far the Indian woman has gone." We maintain a book after every show, and now there are about 20 books which record the comments that people might have to our play and the responses that they have. And that makes us feel alive, because really our claim is no man or woman will ever be the same again after seeing the play. I didn't start with Vagina Monologue or Death of a Salesman. The first play that I ever acted in was Asif Karimboy's Thorns on a Canvas, Pratap Sharma's Touch of Brightness, Gurcharan Das's Meera, in which Alec Padamsee used back projection and live musicians playing the flute and harmonium on stage for the first time. Kamla Ramchandani, very daringly, the first play that she wrote and that I acted in was about an LGBT concept. And this was years ago, before it became fashionable to take out the pride parades, and though the community existed. So it was a very daring move that she made. Bertolt Brecht and Badal Sarkar were the first people who introduced us and brought about an awakening of political and social awareness. At a time when politics was not a dirty word, we all had a stake in it. Today, of course, we have no share in any of that. Theatre teaches you discipline, modulation, concentration, and acceptance and tolerance. It makes you a better person. And quite really, my appeal to all of you is do a little bit of theatre. Go and see theatre. I'm not saying do theatre, no. But there is a great thing that you learn from theatre. I mean, look at Amir Khan's Satyamev Jayate. I'm sure there's not one of you that has not been touched by it. And it deals with all the social evils that assail us in our life, whether it's educational, medical, or legal. As I've already said, theatre is theatre because it is so relevant to society. Go out there and do what you want. Now, you might wonder what Mahendra Singh Dhoni's name is doing up there. Mahendra Singh Dhoni wanted to be a tennis player. Andre Agassi hated tennis. Albert Einstein was going to be an electrician. So it doesn't matter what it is. When you're out there, go and do something. You know, everything is going to help you. Believe in it. Now, theatre is being threatened by technology. We are all aware the kind of things that are happening there. Yes, our productions have become better, the sets are better, there's digital lighting, the sets going up and down, the costumes, the people, everything goes on. It has altered our very assumption of cultural consumption. Today, we can order anything on the net and expect it to be delivered wherever, whenever, at your doorstep. The means of artistic production have been democratized. I don't know how many of you know and have read Rishi Kapoor's autobiography, Khullam Khulla, in which he nostalgically laments the introduction and the development and the progress that technology has made. Because today, everything is done in a space of a few minutes. The camaraderie, the love, the bonding that took place over the years and things to make a film, and the months and years, were a terrific social bonding at that time. Today, a 5-year-old child can produce his first film. Now, when we talk about technology, I'm sure a lot of you have noticed all these 5-year-old kids bending over their iPads or their phones, and they are watching cricket or listening to music or playing video games. Every university student who university entering student who comes to college, he has already spent 20,000 hours online or 10,000 hours playing video games. So that is a whole cultural different market. We all now live in a world which is defined not by consumption, but by participation. And that is very important. You think that all these things that you're seeing are fantastic. The internet world has come in, Facebook, Instagram, and they're all watching things on their little iPad. But do you know how much talent goes in behind that? You wouldn't be watching that if there was no acting talent or technical talent to make that attractive. And it is we, the actors, who are actually being employed to bring you. So there are a whole lot of writers, authors, actors who give you that 24/7 enjoyment on your little iPad. A play is not successful because it is being done at Shanmukananda Hall or at Bhaidas, which seats 3,000 people or 1,100 people. There are smaller venues like the Prithvi, like the Cuckoo Club. It's talking about child abuse, molestation, injustices in society, and all done with fun and laughter and comedy. It's not serious where you sit there and you cry all the time, or you say, how boring, and what is this, we read it in the papers. It's all being done in a very entertaining style. And all that requires talent. Every university college today has introduced a theatre program. You've all also witnessed street theatre and flash mobs. And what are they doing? They are focusing your attention in an entertaining way on problems that exist in our society. Actors who forget lines, wrong entrances, wardrobe malfunction, technical hitches, and everybody lets off steam and points fingers at one another and says, "Tumne ye nahi kiya, usne wo nahi kiya, aur tum kyun nahi laye mera wo coat nahi laye." But at the end of it, we all get together, put our heads together, put our emotions together after it's all done, and we are ready for the next show.